Trish. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us today.
Hi, Neil. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Really exciting announcement this week. The tag team match coming up at Evolution. I want to say, you're in the first Women's Royal Rumble, and you entered at number 30 and eliminated 3 opponents, and the crowd went wild when you squared off with Mickie James. How much does it excite you to be facing her again as part of this tag match?
Oh my gosh, so exciting. Every superstar always has a wish list of people they could face, and of course it's always great when you A, have history, and B, have that reaction when the crowd wants it. And to be honest, when we faced off at Royal Rumble, we were like, I don't know, a decade? Like, are people even going to remember? So that in itself was a pleasant surprise. We're like, oh no, they remember. And so when we got that reaction, and we knew there was a lot of buzz following that, once the Evolution got announced, that people said, man, that would be great for them to face off one more time. And so to be able to now be able to touch in at Evolution, we're very excited about that because we enjoy kicking each other's butts, basically.
I mean, you're in the Rumble for about 5 minutes. You've eliminated 3 opponents, but before that, your last match was a tag team bout on the Raw after WrestleMania 27, and your singles match that year. So what's it like preparing for a pay-per-view contest, after all this time away from the ring?
Well, the first time I came back for a Rumble was, it was, here I was sitting at 7 years out of the ring. I had birthed 2 children, and these are all factors you have to consider, The girls were at a whole different level. Like, I didn't, it's different when you can kind of go in and work with a girl that you're kind of familiar with, and everything. So a whole new roster of girls. So I had 1 month to prepare, and to me it was pretty intense. It was a pretty intense month, but before I actually even agreed to do it, I actually called a guy who does my ring, and he has a ring, and I said, so I need to set up a ring immediately, and I went and, just got in there and just said, like, okay, body, how do you feel? And I don't know, I think wrestling is sort of like riding a bike. It feels like your body's like, nah, I got this, and not to say there wasn't like, ooh, that hurt. There was just certainly a few of those moments. But, I definitely got into it, and then I trained my butt off for a month straight, got in there, increased my weight training, my yoga, all that stuff, and it just came to me. So, just basically intensified what I normally do, plus had some ring training, and I was ready for a Rumble. So, of course, this time around, again, sit back, and I'm in my, run a business, run my household, have 2 children. So it wasn't, the intense training is certainly not there. And of course you get the call, you just intensify your training, and now the training changes the next couple of weeks, especially now with the tag match. And it's great now to know, what to expect, and knowing my opponents like Mickie James really well, I know what to expect in the ring. So I'm really excited about it. I think my body's already getting sore of it and is excited about it now.
I was going to say, you're known for your love of yoga. That flexibility must help when it comes to moves like the Matrix and Stratosphere.
Oh, for sure. Like, it surprises me that my body's like, I can do this. It's fine. It's just a variation of your yoga that you do every day. So, it certainly helps. And I really do believe that, that's what's kept the longevity of, my body, just the agility it has still, and the flexibility it has still is just definitely from my yoga. So it's something I've always said I would never drop that. I think for a wrestler, it is, very important for a wrestler to have yoga in their life.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Very much.
Thanks, Neil. We're gonna move on to Kenny McIntosh. If you're not on mute right now and you're not Kenny McIntosh, can you do me a favor and just go on mute? We have a lot of background noise.
Hey, Trish, how's it going?
Hi, how are you, Kenny?
I'm good. Thanks for taking the time. I wanted to ask you, first of all, obviously, the last couple of appearances you've had when you interrupted Elias, great slaps, by the way.
Thank you. Those never fade for some reason.
And the appearance there and then the appearance this past Monday. I just wondered, what's the biggest change that you've seen in the women's roster in any sense, really, from when you were, full time to now?
I would definitely say there's a different level of athleticism. I think, I don't know, maybe because they've come from this, they've been training since the Performance Center and ready for the big leagues. It's kind of a different thing. I feel like, not to say we weren't, but we were never we didn't know if we were going to wrestle, and then we get an event and then we train our butts off for it. And of course everyone's athletes, and we do our regular training, but I think the girls are they're more, they have more regular matches than we did. They're kind of And I just think the training they've done is a little more sort of wrestling intensive, is a little more different than what we used to do back in the day. And, they have the opportunity to go to the Performance Center, too, if they want to, and they can do that stuff that we never had. I think the Performance Center was, for me, a huge changing point for, like, when people say, what's the difference between the roster back in the golden era, like our era, which we like to call it, to this era? And I think that's what it is. I think the Performance Center is what changed it. And, the girls came in, even just all of them debuted much more polished, much more prepared, ready to tackle the big leagues, I guess you can say. Whereas a lot of us sort of learned as we went, and we, learned, well, me certainly learned in front of the camera. I mean, I came in like, I have some training, and I basically, why the audience grew with me is because they watched me fall down, pick myself up, dust myself off, and carry on, and kind of that's why they connected with me. But I think now everyone goes in there like ready for it. So yeah, there's a bit of that difference. One of my most favorite things to the Royal Rumble was just being backstage and watching the girls interact and seeing, how they, like, there's such a passion for wrestling. Not to say there wasn't back then, but these girls they just are so appreciative of the opportunities they're getting. They're so passionate, and to watch them put their matches together and their spots in there, it's amazing because they exude this passion. And that was my favorite part of being backstage, watching everyone just taking their own spin and applying their own psychology to it and just really making it their own. And that was my biggest pleasure last time. So there's certainly a little bit of a difference in the two rosters for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you had such a great career in WWE, and then you obviously retired on your own terms in 2006, and you've been back a few times. But I kind of wondered, you're one of the people that people say in women's wrestling in WWF at the time really like pioneered it and made it more serious and all that kind of stuff. So I wonder, although you're getting in the ring at Evolution and you're having this tag match, do you look at maybe a Ronda Rousey or a Charlotte and kind of go, I'd maybe like to come back and do a full program because they weren't there when you left, and maybe there's more for you to do? Is that something that's crossed your mind?
Oh, certainly it is. And also, I guess it happened, that sort of crossed my mind when I had the Alexa match. It's like, okay, because this was a new focus to come back and wrestle a brand new opponent that I've never touched with, and the anticipation of her and I just running a program. I mean, as a wrestler, your most exciting thing is when you who's next, who am I going to work with that's brand new? That's the challenge, is getting in and testing your limits with someone else, and then interacting with people that you're a new move set that you've never been involved with before. So that's always intriguing. So when I see these amazingly developed characters with amazing arsenals that are so different, and these characters are so distinct, it's amazing. I certainly think that, and I guess I got a little bit of that with Alexa, and now it's going to tag match. Not to say it's not going to be the same, but it is a little different than facing a one-on-one opponent that you completely focused on. And each week would have been Alexa focused, and her and I would have had our thing. Now it's going to turn into a whole different thing, which I think it'll be a lot more light, fun. Amy and I have been, since we left the WWE, we've formed our own sort of Team Bestie tour, which we go all over North America, and actually we're also going all over the world. Just doing our little tours and meeting fans as a team, and people are thrilled to see us together. So I'm sure it'll be a lot more fun. And Alexa and Mickey, when they're together, they play up that goofy heel thing, which is always fun too. So, I think fans can certainly expect a lot of fun, a lot of great energy between us. But I think, the thought of having an intense singles feud is definitely intriguing to me, especially with the caliber of the women nowadays.
It is. Just the last question is that, say we were to look ahead to WrestleMania and you were going to have a singles match and come back and do something else. Is there someone in your eye line? Is there someone else after you work with Alexa that you would love to work with that stands out to you?
I mean, Charlotte Flair has tied my record, right? We can't look past that. So what's going to happen? So I've definitely got I've kind of I've pinned that to the board, while I'm watching that closely. And then to me, a moment which actually even surprised me as a wrestler too, when I was in the ring with Sasha Banks, I thought she did some great stuff, but when her and I got in the ring, there was this sort of great chemistry, and the fans were feeling it. I thought, oh wow, that was really good too. And I know when we do these tours and people, and my favorite thing is fans who do you want to fight? And I always go, who do you want me to fight? I love seeing what the fans think, and a lot of people would love to see Trish and Sasha Banks. So I think that's pretty interesting to me, and I think to the fans as well. But yeah, I'm certainly also keeping my eye on Charlotte and that title, where she's at. She's 7-time, I'm 7-time, and she caught up to me pretty quickly. So I definitely have my eye on that.
Great. Thanks very much, Trish.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kenny. We'll move over to Joe at the Sun.
Hi, Trish.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, you were originally scheduled for one-on-one action, as you said. Was there any reason the plan changed?
I just think creatively they thought it would work. I think I don't know, maybe they watched Team Bestie so closely and thought we were doing such good stuff. I'm not sure. We were kind of never really sure behind the scenes reason. It's, initially, I think Amy and I had, even for the Rumble, to be honest, one of the ideas, that we floated was like an idea of me and Amy being in the ring together, because we thought it'd be kind of cool since we're doing the Team Bestie thing. And I think fans think that's neat when they see us team up now, because we were rivals for so long, and that's what people know us for. And when we kind of, I guess, officially became besties when I inducted to the Hall of Fame, that's when we kind of started the hashtag Team Bestie thing. And people were like, oh, wow, okay. And then it was great because there was always Trish fans and Lita fans, and I think that officially made them like, okay, like they hated each other. We brought together a few groups of people. So, when the Royal Rumble happened, we kind of thought there would be a neat Team Bestie moment where we would team up and people would enjoy seeing us two legends doing our thing together. And then have a moment where people are like, oh, but I remember this rivalry. So we kind of always thought that, and then never happened at the Royal Rumble. We weren't even at the same time in the ring. So maybe that crossed over. Who knows? Maybe that crossed over afterwards. But you never know what they're thinking. And you know what? To be honest, every time I question things, they're always right. Vince is always behind it and always right. I mean, I remember WrestleMania, I think it was WrestleMania 20, when Chris Jericho and I were supposed to team up finally after all that, feud that we had, and that was the moment we were finally going to, become a couple. WrestleMania 20, and the fans were all waiting for it. And then that day we sat down and Vince said, so I'm thinking you turned heel today, and then you walk out with Christian. We're like, No, we've worked for like 8 months to get to this moment. We were like shocked, and all three of us were kind of like not really feeling it. And you know what? At the end of the day, that was like the best thing that happened in my career. I became a heel. Amazing storylines followed after that. Great stuff between me and Christian, and great stuff with me when Christian and I became a team. We faced Jericho. I mean, really great stuff. So Vince he's got his finger on the pulse, and he knows it. So I'm not sure exactly how it came about, but I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a great way to approach it.
Who did that? I'm sorry. Hold on, guys.
Please hold.
Thank you.
Yeah, is it alright?
Yep, go ahead, Joey. Hopefully you don't have another concert breakout.
Yeah, so we spoke to Lita last week, and she picked Bianca Belair as a future superstar. Is there any NXT talent that's caught your eye?
I gotta say I haven't really followed as much as I should be. I am in a mama bubble over here, so excuse me for just being a mom. And to be honest, it sort of takes me to come back into the mix to I always follow online. I follow the internet, and of course the timelines on the social media and whatnot. But yeah, I haven't had a chance to really check other, except for the usual program that I do, because I just blame my kids for not letting me be on top of things.
Speaking of the mum bubble, how much harder has it been getting into ring condition this time for Evolution as opposed to the Royal Rumble?
So physically, my body is right on track. It's ready to go. It's just the time, finding the time to do it. Because, if I have a 20-minute yoga routine that I do, it's just basically part of my day. I wake up, or sometimes I do it at night, but it's just something I do every day. And if I don't do anything else, it's kind of fine. My body's fine. I keep my agility. It's all good. I look good in my clothes still. But this is a different level. You have to squeeze in. I have to go to the ring. I have to squeeze in weight training sessions. And then there's some body work that has to happen, you make sure, massages and, things like that to make sure you don't fall apart. So, yeah, it's just, it's a little bit more of a juggle finding the time to do it. But it's fine. It's actually believe me, from speaking from the mom bubble perspective, it's a nice change up to our routine. It's nice to push my body a little bit more and to challenge. And it's also for me, the biggest thing after Royal Rumble, after I left the match, was man, I did it. I'm 42 years old. I have 2 kids, and this is not what I do every day, and I did it. So it was really a proud moment for me. So again, it's another fun challenge for me to be able to do this and go off and pull off another match, and body's changing and then responding well. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, years ago you stepped in the ring with China, but now Ronda Rousey's on the same plan through the whole roster. How did you think them two would come against each other?
Oh gosh, that's interesting. I've never really heard the comparison, but I think it would be, oh my gosh, that would be incredible. That would be really, really intriguing to watch for sure. That would have been, man, I think that'd be really intriguing. Yeah, too bad we don't get to see it. But Ronda to me is, wow, she's amazing. I'm loving watching her in the ring, and what I love seeing, and then this is a real pleasure, is watching someone from another world come in and just adapting so well. You know, I think the question was a big question mark when she came in. It was kind of like, there was the question of like, oh, how dare she come in here and just get these spots? And then it was, can she even do this? And, you know, and she has, you know, it's translated really well. And what happened, you know, what I believe it's fueled by her passion. And that's what I've always said, like the number one line, if you look back at all my interviews, has been, if you love this business, I mean, that's how I did it for so long with this crazy schedule. If you love this so much, man, that's how you can get through it all. And she has just powered through. She gets it because she's coming from a fan perspective, which for me, you know, people always said, how did you, man, you got so good so fast, right? And because I knew wrestling, like I got wrestling. Before I could physically do wrestling, I got wrestling. And I think Ronda Rousey has that as well. And so it's translating just brilliantly. And I'm really enjoying watching her. I mean, I've never even thought about fighting her either. That's even something someone had mentioned. I was like, I don't know, I'm just going to watch her from afar. I'm enjoying it.
Just lastly, apart from your match at Evolution, which one are you most looking forward to?
Well, gosh, I mean, how many other matches have we heard of? Not too many, right? So far. I would have thought by now there would be a couple more. I'm anticipating we're going to see another Becky and Charlotte face off. So for me, I've been loving the way this feud has unfolded. I think the intensity, especially, Becky is just dialed in on her character right now, and I'm so enjoying it. And those two, I mean, there's no shortage of goodness and greatness coming from these two. They are just fantastic to watch. And yeah, as a fan, that's for me. I'm looking forward to them. Hopefully they're going to go again. I'm sure they are, because it's going to continue. But man, they're amazing to watch.
Thanks, Trish, and best of luck at Evolution.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Joe. We'll move over to Josh at Sport Bible. You got Josh.
Hi, Trish. How's it going?
Hi, Josh. Good, thanks.
So I expect to ask, did you ever think we'd get to a point where WWE would have no women's pay-per-view?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't think I would have even thought about it happening. I never thought. I certainly never uttered the words, I wonder if one day we'll have an all-women's pay-per-view. It was not even there, the point where we could even consider it, kind of thing, you know? It was like back in the day when people say, did you always want to be a wrestler? Well, I didn't have a chance to have that thought consideration, because back in the day there was no vocation availability, I guess you could say. You know, I knew Miss Elizabeth did some stuff, and I knew that we've seen, you know, women here and there, but I didn't know that, like, that was an idea, like, something that I could possibly do when I grew up, because it wasn't really, it didn't show itself as an opportunity back in the day. So I think the same thing here. I never thought that we would, you know, I mean, we used to always say, well, when we were main event, of course, that time, we kind of felt like that was a standalone thing. Like, wow, this is great, and it was a standalone thing. It was we made history. It was amazing. Fans were supportive. Our colleagues were blown away by it and supporting us. And yeah, I never really uttered the words like, well, maybe one day. I just never did. Just never thought it would come about. So this, to me, is, I obviously sat back and watched the way it's the revolution and then the evolution. It all happened, how it all came together. It's been amazing to watch, and officially, you know, I'm certainly more than honored to be a part of it. You know, to see it unfold, I would have been more than happy to just sit back and just enjoy watching it unfold as well. So to have been asked at the Royal Rumble and to now be a part of this, you know, amazing pay-per-view event, this historic event, it means so much to me. And I feel like it's a great shout out to the girls who came from before, knowing that our blood, sweat, and tears are certainly still, you know, part of the pathway that's being spread or paved right now, for sure. It's a blessing, and we're honored to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. When did you get the call about Evolution, and what was your immediate reaction?
It was a few months ago. I knew because it was certainly more than the Rumble notice. It was like, because we laughed, because it was like, I remember the notice was like, you have 1 month to come back after 7 years and 2 kids to work. What do you think? I was like, oh my God. Yeah, this one we had a little bit more notice, a few months more notice. So that was helpful. We knew the pay-per-view had come about, and we were going to be involved. So that definitely helped, because it helps to have a little bit more heads up on what you're doing.
And just finally, do you think that the next logical step is to have a women's match main event at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I think it is the next logical step. But I mean, I would say, like, I don't want to make it like, a women's match at WrestleMania. It should just be like, if there's a match or there's a feud that is so great that it should be considered the main event of WrestleMania, let's put it on. So it's up to the women now to give them, and I don't want to make it like, I honestly would prefer it. I'd prefer to not be like, we're going to just give the woman a spot at WrestleMania main event. Like, it's kind of like just for the obligatory woman spot. I think it's just like, it's up to the work of the girls and for the feuds and the writers and everyone who puts everything together, the whole teamwork, that does put a feud and something together to be that great that it in itself deserves a spot that ends up being main event at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for your time and all the best for Evolution.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks. We'll move over to Sean at Midday in India. Okay, maybe Sean's not there anymore. Is Sundari there?
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead.
Hi.
Okay, hi Trish.
Hi.
Hi, I'm gonna keep it really short. First things first, we know that you run your own yoga studio, so we just wanted to find out what inspired you to kind of start it.
Well, it was the injury that I was faced with. I think it's around 2004. I had a herniated disc in my back. I had been doing months of physiotherapy with no relief whatsoever. I was then facing surgery, which would have obviously put a hold on my career and also possibly even jeopardize my career altogether. And I found yoga. I walked into my first class. It was called Bikram Yoga. And I did Bikram Yoga basically for 2 to 3 months straight every single day. And I immediately felt a difference in my body. And I completely rehabilitated my back to the point where now I don't even have any, I've never had any, it's never gone back to the pain since that I had back then. And it was just something that helped me, recover, helped me deal with, I ended up making a comeback from there and then continue the rest of my career, the strongest and best shape that I'd ever been in, most agile, created the matrix move based on my yoga moves and things like that. If you notice, it's a bridge move, but something I was doing, I was like, ooh, I could do this in wrestling. and then when I retired in 2006, go ahead.
Okay, that's great. That's great because, yoga has to connect with India at the end of the day. So for us, it's always inspiring to see athletes kind of take up yoga and realize the flexibility behind it. Another part that we want to ask about is definitely your diet aspect. As a professional athlete, what's on your to eat and not eat? Do you have these kind of do's and don'ts for eating?
Well, to eat is, I do lots of greens every single day. I start off with a shake. I do my greens in the morning, and I have my hemp protein. So I usually stay plant-based with my protein in my smoothies and stuff in the morning. I do a lot of fresh pressed juices. That's something that I feel like that just keeps my vital energy constant and ready to do what I'm doing and tackle the high intensity of this, everything involved in this. I keep my protein pretty high, and I just don't eat junk. My no list is anything that is really delicious right now. But I just, I say no to a lot. I don't eat processed foods, and really my diet doesn't change so much from my regular diet. This is what I do anyway. My regular life is I keep it very clean, very little processed. I don't eat any processed foods, and I may have some processed foods like a chips or something in a regular life, but right now there's no chips on my diet. But so it's just very clean, no processed foods, lots of greens, high protein, and it's mostly plant-based overall, but I still include, mostly like chicken and fish is still included.
That's really awesome. Something that for us that we would like to also know is, apart from yoga and, being in the ring and being a superstar for so many years and things like that, what are some of the hobbies that you have that would kind of surprise people really big?
Well, I love interior design and decorating, so I've done my own home. My husband has a home builder, and so for many years, over the years, I've done the interiors of the homes for so many years, put the color scheme together and chosen the inside stuff. So I've done it for many years. We recently just moved into a new home, and I've just spent the last, few months doing that. So it's a passion of mine, a pleasure of mine. I love doing it, and also party throwing. I love throwing parties. I do these amazing theme parties. My kid just turned 5. Max just turned 5, and we had he has a fan of right now. He's currently a fan of Snoop Dogg. Typical 5-year-old.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and I just did a rap hip-hop theme party, which was pretty amazing, I must say. Please watch my blog on trishstratus.com, and you'll see, but you can see on Instagram I posted a couple, I'll be posting up a couple pictures, but if you actually want any pictures to go with it, I'm happy to provide Joe with some pictures if you want to. I can show you some exclusive pictures if you guys actually want to go into it for it. But yeah, I love throwing, theme parties and stuff like that to the point everyone's like, you got to do this for a living. I'm like, no, I just want to do it for my friends and family. It's fun. So yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, you have so many roles that you have kind of taken on as a mother, as a wrestler, a model, I mean, an actor, a fitness enthusiast. Which role do you think that you kind of love the most or you like the most?
Oh my gosh, of course, being a mother, it's the most amazing thing in the world. It's, it's changed me as a human being. It's opened my eyes to, to view the world differently. It's made me love more. It's made me appreciate things more. It's funny, I've actually quoted that exact same thing I said with yoga in my life, did all that for me back in the day. It's something that it made me view life differently and live life differently. And it's like a different level now to I feel like I live life at a different level with yoga in my life, which will never leave my life. And now that I have my kids, it's just a whole other level as well. So, they changed my life, and I couldn't imagine my life without them. So now it's funny, whatever I do now, I've always loved to be challenged, and what I do things, it's always about, challenging myself and conquering something new. But now it's about challenging myself and then doing things that will make my kids proud and leading by example. So, they're the best things in my world.
Thank you. And finally, I think a previous journalist had already asked this question in terms of something that you would be if not for a WWE superstar. Like, looking back now on your career up till now, is there something that strikes you and says, okay, I could have done this and still been as amazing at this as possible?
Well, I've always, when I was a child right up until like I was going to be a doctor. I was planning on being a doctor. I was pre-med when my university went on strike, and that's when they were on strike and everything. The stars aligned, I guess you could say, where the right people found me. I ended up finding my way to WWE during the strike, and so. But everything I'd done in my life at that point had been to prepare to be a doctor. The way my life is now, I think I might have ended up in the wellness sphere for sure, but probably more down like the naturopathic way is probably, or homeopathic way is probably where I would have ended up, I think, because I've always loved to be in, the wellness sphere. My current business is, it's yoga related health and fitness. We inspire people. We bring yoga to different events and things like that. So it's just, in some way, for sure, it's something in the wellness sphere, and just helping others, enlightening people about how to be healthier and leading healthier and more fulfilled lives.
Okay, thank you so much. It was amazing talking to you. All the best.
Thank you.
And I love you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sundari.
Question. Thank you.
We'll move over to Vicente at Mundo Deportivo.
Hey, Trish, how you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for your time, obviously, first of all. And I would like to start. What is your mindset going into WWE Evolution and having a tag team match instead of a singles match?
I think it's shifted a little bit. I think there's a different mindset when you have a tag match because there's so many more variables now included. There's more people involved with different approaches, different movesets you have to be aware of. So, there's definitely, I have to sort of widen my scope a little bit to for the approach because, but also it gives us more arsenal. Lita and I being able to team together is great. I mean, we know each other inside out. So it's going to be amazing to see, creatively, since we've left wrestling, we left wrestling in 2006. It's been a part of our lives since then, so it's still a part of our life. Of course, then when we do these autograph tours and people talk to us, we're always around wrestling fans. We're always getting feedback from wrestling. So now it'll be fun to just sort of see how Trish and Lita from today will apply what we know and how our views of the world changes our interpretation inside the ring. I love that fact that both Lita and I both know Mickie James inside out. So that's a big advantage for us. So I feel like we have a bit of that advantage, whereas, Mickie knows us well, but Alexa doesn't know us well. I mean, I would say Alexa knows me pretty well because she studied my stuff for years, but she's obviously never had the chance to actually work with me. So Mickie has at least that in her corner. But yeah, so it'll be, I'm excited about it. I think it makes for some interesting, intriguing moments. And I think, just seeing Mickie, I think just fans are really enjoying the team up of Lita and I. And I think there's a new the opportunity for me and Mickey to face off again. That was really an exciting part of this new tag match. And then, of course, I still get to, in some regard, get a hold of Alexa. So, yeah, I'm excited.
What is next for Trish after Evolution? Are you having another run in WWE, or this is the final curtain call for you?
I don't know. I think I said the final curtain call was in 2006, but apparently that didn't stay closed. So it's really hard to recall that final curtain call. It seems like. I mean, and I used to say when I retired, I was ready. It was that point in my life where it was ready to retire. My mom was sick, and I was ready to close that chapter, and it was just time for me to walk away at that time. I always said, though, I am always looking, and if there's ever a challenge, certainly something new to conquer, I was available, and I'd consider it. And that, this certainly, of course, starting with the Royal Rumble, that's something that was a challenge, something new, to be a part of history, of course, honored to be a part of it. And in this regard, same thing, to be a part of this evolution is amazing. Could there be, something moving forward? Who knows? I mean, there's always an interesting combination that hasn't been done yet. So I still haven't had my one-on-one with Alexa at this point after this match. So we'll see. Like I said, you've heard me earlier say I've had my eye on Charlotte attaining 7 championships, that's sort of a record I've held for a decade now, right? So I'm watching that closely, and of course then there's superstars that I keep my eye on. Sasha Banks is one of them. And, that's interesting to me as well. And Natty and I had a chance. She was my dream opponent, and we finally had a chance to go a little bit in the Royal Rumble. But is there potential to do more? Who knows? Who knows? It's kind of like once you enter the sphere again, you never know what can happen. I mean, it seems to me my body's like, no, I'm ready. So whatever you want to do. So I kind of I'm sitting back like you are and waiting to see what happens next.
And finally, you are a 7-time women's champion and WWE Hall of Famer. What is your advice for the young talents learning the business right now?
I would just say, always look for that thing that challenges you, whether it's the opponent, whether it's the storyline, whether it's the approach to doing a storyline. Just always be challenged, because that's what brings out the best in you, is something that's new and intriguing, and by challenging yourself, it enables you to push yourself and see how far you can go personally, physically, and professionally. So, always be challenged. Make sure you never be complacent, never be just go to work, because too many people got too complacent to just go to work and do mediocre stuff. No. Always be challenged. Make sure you're pushing the envelope. Make sure you're creatively challenged, everything. So, I just think that's the main thing. And, of course, they all are already fueled by passion. That's what will carry you on to a long career.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you in 2 weeks in New York. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vicente.
2 weeks away, guys?
Yeah. We'll move over to Miguel at Sport. You go ahead, Miguel.
Hello, Trish. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. In WWE Armageddon 2003, you joined Lita to face Chris Jericho and Christian in an intergender tag team match. After 15 years, the intergender matches are not made anymore by WWE, but they become really popular again in the independent promotions. Would you like to see these kind of matches again in the WWE?
I would. I think it's I think it's so intriguing. I think because it's bringing in a whole new wave of superstars that haven't. Because to me, as a fan, what was always interesting was watching 2 wrestlers, wrestle that haven't wrestled before. So I think you have a whole untapped roster, so to speak, of people that you can work with. And I think it's interesting. Women and men, of course, have similar styles but different styles, and so to see them team up it's interesting. You see different personalities clashing and communicating. So I think it's interesting, and it's always proven to be interesting. I mean, that's one thing I say. Back in the day, I don't know, there was something we had that they didn't, and that was the ability to have the women and men mixed it up a little bit more. And fans liked it. I liked it. Fans liked it. The superstars liked it. I had the opportunity to work, like you said, with the Christian and Jericho, Christian Jericho, and that was such a memorable little story. I saw Christian. I did an autograph signing with him, and we talked about it. It was so, just different, especially because, you go the line of the roster and say, who I've worked with, everyone I've worked with, and then now it's, putting the two guys and the girls together. That was something we had never done before. So it's intriguing, and I had the opportunity to work with, I remember one time I teamed with The Rock, and we faced off with Vince McMahon and Kurt Angle. So, it gives the opportunity for the women to also be elevated to a state that they maybe wouldn't have been, to be in there, for me at that point, to be in there with The Rock and Vince McMahon and Kurt Angle as just a woman on the roster at the time. I was suddenly thrust into main event spotlight, main event level competition. So that was really cool that, that brought that character to a different level. So I think that's what has that ability to do when you can mix up the characters like that intergenderly. So I would love to see more of it.
We talked to Lita a few weeks ago, and she told us that we would love the idea of joining forces with you in case that the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship are finally introduced. Would you see it possible from your side?
Oh, yes. I think the minute we found out about the tag match, we looked to her like, what's the status on those tag team titles? I think it would be cool. There's two thoughts. I mean, here's the thing. Number one, of course, you get people like, why did these girls from the past get this? Why would they get a chance to have the tag team titles? But there's also this. I've always said a number one thing that helped me as a performer was working with people that were veterans. There's nothing better. For me, my best point was working with someone like Jackie or, Jazz. For me, our feud was, I learned so much from her. She was such a pro in the ring. And for me, I think that was the crossover to when I became, not that green new worker anymore. I became a seasoned worker while I worked with her because I learned so much from her. She guided me. And I feel like that's what's missing right now is you don't really have these girls. And you see it. I see Jericho working with Ziggler and the guys now, they're working with DX. So it does definitely elevate the current people's roster. So, of course, if Amy and I were to remain around, there was such a thing, the tag team titles became a thing, that would certainly be our aim, would be to be there to serve as mentors and to guide them and to lead the newer rosters and sort of, take them and challenge them to see how far they could push their limits. So it would definitely be something of interest for us.
This is amazing. My last question, after WWE Evolution, what's next for Trish Stratus and the WWE?
I don't know. I answered that earlier. I have no idea. They keep calling me, and it's like, okay, let's do it. my short answer is to go home with my kids more, so that's that. And then, of course, I just sit by the special backbone and wait for the call. And if they call me, I'm more than happy to be there. I'm honored that they call me for my expertise, for my specialties, what I was, known for in the back of the day. I'm happy to bring it to the current product. But yeah, you never know, man. I mean, I tell you, 2006, I thought the journey was over, but it clearly is not. So we'll see. It's plenty of satisfaction in the future, I believe.
Thank you so much, Trish, and good luck at Evolution.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Miguel. We'll move over to Elva. Elva, you can go ahead.
Yes. Hey. Hi, Trish.
Hello.
I want to ask you, right now there are very talented women in WWE. Does any of them remind of you?
Well, there's a few wrestlers that I've certainly seen some of my moves come out and what they're doing. So I've seen, Liv Morgan does my Matrix move. I've seen Carmella does the Stratosphere move. So it's certainly, which is awesome. They picked up stuff from the past and they're applying it, which is, I think, neat and obviously very flattering to see that. But I think Alexa, and this is why I think the team up initially between Alexa and I was so intriguing, is because Alexa has even said in the past, I was the one she watched growing up, and then she modeled herself after me. So when she first started on the scene, I was over here in my mommy bubble, raising my kids. I had babies at the time. It was, my kids are young. And my Twitter timeline would say, oh, Shades and Trish. Oh, I'm feeling like Stratus in 2003. I'm like, what is all what's going on? Who's wrestling? Who is this? So then I checked out Alexa Bliss. I mean, the first promo I heard, I thought, oh, man, that's like literally, we have the same cadence. We have the same mannerisms, but she just really modeled herself after me, which I think is amazing. So I think that's why it was so intriguing. People are like, man, to see these two face off now, I'd like to kind of bring the same thing to the ring, but there's a generational difference, and I think that's why it was such an intriguing thing. And it's still really intriguing. When Alexa and I finally actually face off and touch, I think that's going to be really, really cool to see once it happens.
Okay, last one. What is the most difficult? To have a match almost every day or be mother of two?
Or what, sorry?
I think you said what is more difficult?
Yeah, have a match every day or?
Be a mother of two.
Oh, what a great question. Oh my gosh. Honestly, they both have some challenges. Both are very difficult and take a special someone to do both jobs, that's for sure. I don't think I would want to wrestle every single day, physically, I tell you that much. I don't even want to wrestle every week anymore because that's definitely a challenge as well. But I don't know. And you know what? Maybe the reward of motherhood that you've raised a child and you watch them develop their own personalities and know that you had a part of that. That's probably more rewarding and something that you're forming a human being. It's pretty amazing. So it's but certainly I would say equal challenge.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great question. Thank you.
Thank you, Elva. We'll move over to Marco at Fox Sports Italy. Go ahead, Marco.
Hello, Trish.
Hello.
Thank you for your time to support me. It's an honor to talk with you.
Thank you.
What do you think when, during your career, would you have liked to face an athlete like Ronda Rousey?
Would I like to currently face her? Or are you saying back then?
I think you're saying during your career you like to face someone like this. So.
Oh yes, of course. Oh my God.
A former UFC champion like Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, no, I think like one of the things that the thread of I said throughout all these interviews is it's a challenge. I always have loved challenge. So I would have loved to face her. I mean, maybe there's an opportunity to still face her. Who knows? But I think it's just she brings such obviously a raw realness to what she does. And I think that's what makes her so interesting to watch. So, I would have loved to have mixed up with her and had the opportunity to, because it brings a whole new dynamic to a match, in itself, just facing her and seeing her approach and everything. So, of course, taking it out of someone that comes from, I can equate it to this. I know when I left wrestling in 2006, I did a movie, and when I did the movie, it had some amazing fight scenes. And she was from a martial arts background. And it was so incredible to get to be able to put our match or our fight together for the actual director let us actually. I brought my fight style, she brought her fight style. So the fight we designed together with, of course, the help of a fight coordinator was amazing because she had such a different insight and I had such a different insight. So it was really fun to see the two styles come together and to see what it produced. And I think that would have been the same thing that would have been as intriguing as having her insight and my insight and seeing what you would come up with together. So yeah, I would definitely love that.
In a past interview, you told you grew up playing soccer. Do you have a favorite team?
You're from Italy, right? Italia. I can't say I watch as much as I used to. I mean, when of the World Cup time and everything, we all chimed in. And unfortunately, Greece doesn't seem to fare as well as Italy does. My husband's Italian, so we'll always go Italy around here.
Okay. In Italy, you were and you still are the most loved female superstar ever. Do you want to send a message to Italian fans who will watch your match at Evolution?
I hope that they're satisfied, of course. And that was a lovely thing to hear, that I was one of the most favorite viewers. I think I would love to come over and have a tour and meet all my Italian fans. It's been a couple of years since I've been there. But I hope that they're really satisfied by my match.
Thank you very much. Good luck for your match Evolution.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. Move over to Francesco for Sky Sports. You can go ahead, Francesco.
Yes. Hi, Trish.
Hi.
Do you think that the new generation of women's revolution could partially reduce the great result that your generation achieved?
Yeah, I think they have already maybe exceeded what we achieved. They're just like I said. I think they are just such. I don't know. They're just what we had back in the day was unique because we had different athletes that had different backgrounds, and we were able to create some interesting things because we came together on this platform of WWE, and you could all deliver something different. The girls right now, they're all. They've all come up the same way. They understand wrestling, the psychology of it. They understand They've worked together. Most of them have all worked together, which always makes for, you see something such a seamless flow in the ring usually comes from when you see two, and usually when there's two people that they've worked together for years, like a Sean and a Brett or something, or me and Amy, or why you think there's like a seamless flow when they work. It's so beautiful is because they've worked together for so many years. They know each other. So I think the great thing about the current roster group of the girls is they have worked together for so many years. So when you have the opportunity for each of them to come in at different times together, it always creates such great chemistry and a great movement and such a great flow in the match that really always makes for like a home run.
Okay, and what are you doing to restore your in-ring condition? Did you find any differences in training?
Well, I usually I do yoga. That's part of my everyday approach. But I'm obviously now adding more weight training sessions and more calisthenic training, and a lot of just stuff to increase my intensity and my stamina, and then of course the ring training. So that obviously is not in my everyday. And so getting back into the ring and just letting my body become familiar with it, letting my body get familiar with the bumps and the rolling around and things like that. So it's a little I would say there's definitely an amped up intensity to what I'm doing now.
Okay, last question. At the WWE Evolution, you will face Alexa Bliss. On paper, this really sounds like a dream match. Do you think that a stronger storyline behind this rivalry could help the involving fans?
Sorry, what's the last question? Did it involve what?
I think what he's Francesco, I got it. I think what he's asking is that would a more in-depth storyline be beneficial to fans if there was a longer time for you guys to play it out?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, thanks.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, absolutely. My most memorable matches were because they were fueled by storyline. So obviously we didn't had a storyline that lasted almost our entire career. So anytime we got in the match, we almost had a built-in storyline. We had the history. We had so many epic moments together that once we faced off, especially just even for our final match, I think we only started that retirement thing. It was only a couple weeks leading up to our retirement match, but we didn't need that build-up because we had 7 years of build-up almost. Well, and Mickie James and I, obviously, one of my most memorable storylines and feuds ever, because her and I, at one point, I think we had 8 months of storyline build-up, something that's literally unheard of, especially from the women back in the day. So, yes, I always think that storylines, fueled by storyline is certainly the most important thing to just bring the crowd and let them become invested in the story and coming along for the ride. So I would have loved to have a lot more build-up. But, we only get what we can take, and I think luckily, though, there is that history between Lita and I. There's a history between Mickie and James, and then between Mickie and Lita. And then it's not necessarily history, but there's a nice little line between us, me and Alexa, that we have that past, that she's looked to me in the past, and I've been watching her. So at least we have that connection. But yeah, I definitely think the best thing for a storyline for a feud is to have intense storylines for sure.
Okay, thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. Graham from The National, you still on?
Yeah, I'm still here. How
Go
are you,
ahead.
Trish? Good to speak to you.
We didn't bore you, Graham. I'm glad.
No, I'm still here. It's a bit late at night here in Abu Dhabi, but no, it's still going.
Great.
First thing I want to talk about. Listening to you talking earlier about saying when you were sort of getting into the business and you were going from 1 minute you were sort of the green rookie, next minute sort of you were becoming more of the experienced veteran. Was there a particular point? Was there a match or a moment that really sort of stood out as like, yeah, I've got this. I'm getting this. I can really make something of this.
Yeah, like the turning point. Well, there's a couple turning points for me. I guess I got accepted and maybe was taken real serious about this was when I took the table bump for Bubba. When he put me through the table and he didn't protect me, and he just, on purpose, I said, I want to take the table just like the guys do, where he was kind of huddling the girls and helping them through the table, things like that. So I did that, and that was, I think, from my colleagues, from the fans, they were like, okay, she's willing to put her body on the line. So that was like the first sort of moment of acceptance from my colleagues as well as the fans, that I was sort of in this to be serious and to take this. I really want to commit to this wrestling thing that was happening. And I always mention my feud with Jazz. For me, that was kind of the crossover of like, I think my confidence. It was a big confidence builder for me. We pulled off some really amazing stuff, and I really was able to, because she was such a great guide. She was so experienced. She had the experience, and of course, the fact that she was this, menacing heel, and I was just this, baby face, this coming from behind, and this amazing underdog story we brought together was incredible, and it helped fuel the feud for sure. Like I talk about the storyline, that was the storyline behind our feud, which made it so great. But yeah, I feel like the feud with her, just my confidence level went up, and she really she made me increase my game. For me, knowing I was working with such an experienced player, I was like, I need to bring my A game, and it made me sort of, be better in the ring. She, made me better myself in the ring because of her level of what she brought to the ring. And then, I feel like, and then the Victoria feud was next, and I think the Victoria feud, I got my stride. I was ready. I was doing it. I was owning it in the ring. I knew what I could deliver. I knew I was capable of. I kind of had finally found my stride at the Victoria part. And her and I think our feud is really the turning point for the women's, where it really turned for the golden era. I think that was where fans truly began to accept women in the ring, and the puppy chants were gone by that point. They were ready for us to be working in the ring, delivering stuff that was on par with the men, and the storylines were driven. I mean, we had the commitment from the producers and the writers backstage that they were giving us what the men were getting, in order to help fuel our feuds. And it was the first time I took a chair shot, first time a woman taking a steel chair to the head, first time we had a hardcore match. So I think that was really the turnover for us. We really turned the corner on like, oh, this is what a woman can do in wrestling, by the way. And then from there, it just was like, God. Then I think it was just not easy writing, but more of an acceptance for Mickie James going into that last feud. That was my last feud, basically, before I left.
No, great. You and Lisa were sort of trendsetters in the way in that you famously main evented an episode of Raw. I'm just interested because there have been so many firsts. Obviously, you were part of the Royal Rumble in January, but there's also been since then there's been an Elimination Chamber match, there's been a Hell in a Cell match, and there's been the Money in the Bank's now become part of the women's storylines as well. Just interesting, if you could go back, if there's one of those you could be involved in, which one of those would you have fancied being a part of?
And I never got to be involved in it. I always wanted to. It was a cage match. I never got that, and I really, didn't even think it was like a possibility. And then I think Lita and who did she work with? It was Victoria, right? I think Lita and Victoria had a cage.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just awesome to watch. It was just like, that was another moment for us, like, yes, okay, the girls getting what the guys. That was always about us getting what the guys got, and because you think if you could imagine traveling gnomes, which we were. We're just this circus of we do this. We're in this all together, and so the guys were getting all this stuff and getting this acknowledgement as what they do. And it was like, hey, we're in the same grind. We're in the same grind. We do the same bumps. We do the same travel. We do the same level of interviews. Probably more interviews, trying to learn and looking good at it too. We always have to look in the ring. We didn't get that acknowledgement, and so to see these little things, it was always an accomplishment for us to get these little things. But yeah, I always wanted to be involved in a cage match. That was something I always wanted to do, and then I never got a chance to do that. So who knows? Maybe there's cage match with my sister. Who knows?
Obviously, another big thing, so obviously we just saw it on Saturday in Melbourne with the fact that WWE is now becoming huge. Alexa and Sasha made history here in Abu Dhabi in December when they had the first women's title match in the UAE, and sort of really sort of pushing the women's division. How important do you think it is having these kind of events and sort of making it more of a global sort of push to women's revolution and such, and sort of really sort of coming to places like Abu Dhabi and doing that?
I think that's what you just said. What you said, it's making it more of a global attainment. We've sort of taken on to a different level for them to be able to do that over there. It was amazing. And obviously, the crowd support and it was global at that point. What was happening, and it's just another level of what the women have done. Another level of reach for the women to send our message that we can do anything we put our minds to. We are fueled by passion, and we are these. Really, there's only a handful of women athletes that can do what we do in this world. And so, to be able to go out there and have a platform to do what we do, but it's greater than just us wrestling. It's a bigger message. It's telling the women you can do anything you put your mind to, and to be able to have that platform it was amazing, and it makes me proud knowing that we had a little part of it, back in the day.
Oh, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to seeing you in New York.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, Graham. Is there anybody that I missed?
Sean, I'm here.
Oh, you're back. Sean from Midday. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah. Hey, hello, Trish.
Good, thanks.
Just want a couple of quick questions. I'll start with, what are your thoughts on being the part of the first ever women's CPT evolution?
Oh, I'm honored, very excited, but the number one word is honored, honored to be at this point for women and to be a part of it, like I've also said, I wouldn't have minded sitting back and just watching all this amazing stuff unfold, but to be a part of it is like, gosh, it's a part of history. We're going to be making history that night, so to be a part of it, I'm honored that it asked me back, knowing obviously back in the day, the blood, sweat, and tears that we shed are somehow a part of this platform and part of this path that the women are now paving. So it's, yes, I'm thrilled to be a part of it, and I just think it's such an important message that we're sending to women all over the world. I'm very excited about it.
Okay. What do you have to say about the upcoming match with Alexa Bliss? Would you have preferred to wrestle some other superstar?
You mean the tag match that we're having?
Yeah.
Yeah, what do I say about it? I think it's great. I think the fact that I get to face Alexa, her and I have, I guess it's sort of like a generational face-off. People have compared our styles and our approach to wrestling, and so I think that seeing us face off is definitely intriguing. But then now to know that Lita and I are going to be teaming up and facing her and Mickie James, there's so much history in this match, I think, which is going to make it so great. There's a lot of history between Mickie and I. There's history between Lita and Mickie. And I think that's going to be, just people are just excited to see us. I mean, at the Royal Rumble, Mickie James and I knew we had that moment, and we weren't sure if fans were even remember it, yet alone be interested in it. And when the fans went crazy when we faced off, it was like, oh, yes. It was just great to know. Fans know, and especially fans love a nostalgic moment. So, the fact that we get to go again one other time is so exciting to both of us. And I think the fans are really excited about it as well. So I think it's going to be a really entertaining match that will have a lot of depth as well.
Okay. WWE is taking long to create a women's pay-per-view. What do you think is the difference between the superstars then back in your day when you were young and now, when things have changed, the scenario has changed, the setting has changed in WWE?
Well, I think the main thing is there's only a handful of women really back then that were sort of interchanged, and they kind of came and went, and there was sort of only one storyline for the women at the time. There was one person, and then they'd be brought in, and then there'd be someone else brought in, but there wasn't you go backstage now and there's a whole roster of women, and they're part, they're part, an integral part of every single piece of the show. So, or every different show, and there's two different shows. It's incredible to see how much more important of the roles that the women play now. And so, yeah, there's so many women now that have come up, and they're all seasoned, they're all trained perfectly, they're all ready to go at any moment, as opposed to back in the day it was kind of like, new girls, and can this girl wrestle? And Jazz appeared, but she hadn't been WWE yet, so she was a new, so and when Victoria came about, she had just come out of OVW, so she was brand new. So there was that to consider. Whereas now we have established characters. Everybody knows the women. They know the history of their characters. And so what's intriguing, just like with the men's roster that you'd always have back in the day, is when you get the chance to mix up the roster and see when the different face-offs happen, and you've never seen it before, they have some history before. They've wrestled before, so that you get to see that comes out. And then you'll just get to see the clash of different personalities. I think that's what makes it so interesting. And that's what definitely they have now that we didn't have back in the day.